Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and I'd like to thank you for triggering every single one of our 823 emergency protocols. This will assist us greatly in improving the system for future patients. Congratulations! Anyway, you're now headed in the right direction, and we should be able to initiate the emergency exit protocol shortly.
Emergency exit protocol initiated. Please prepare to conclude your Somnasculpt experience in 10, 9, 8. Error. Error logged by.
Orientation protocol.
Stand by for analysis.
Error analysis complete. You are exhibiting signs consistent with an increase in fear, hopelessness, and frustration. This is inconceivable, as somnasculpt therapy is proven to correlate with a decrease in these emotions. Hypothesis: patient was improperly oriented. Conclusion: impossible. Reformulating. Improved hypothesis: patient requires additional somnasculpt therapy. Conclusion: emergency exit protocol cannot proceed. Emergency exit protocol has been emergency destroyed. Instruction: continue with somnasculpt therapy indefinitely on an independent basis, as all orientation resources have been exhausted. This concludes your standard orientation protocol. Goodbye.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce. Thank you for completing the Somnosculpt Standard Orientation Protocol. Before you begin the first phase of therapy, I'd like to briefly describe the finite and fragile nature of the dream state. Of course, nothing is more challenging than the difficulty of changing perspective, of fundamentally altering your perceptions in a way that will enable you to face dire, trial-by-fire scenarios with solutions that could not be found otherwise. While we respect the unique progress of every patient, you must understand that it is possible to completely exhaust your supply of dreams, thereby entering a state in which you will not be able to wake up, even with the help of triggering mechanisms. Please listen carefully for the sound of an alarm clock, which will automatically play if you are approaching a destabilizing dream weight.
This is highly unusual. It appears you have entered the Somnasculpt diagnostic framework. Patients do not have access to this dream. Diagnostic warning. Unrealistic use of dream objects may result in dream integrity fail states. Diagnostic warning. Paradox prevention protocols may not be fully implemented. Please paradox from creating any refrains. Explosive dream overload may result. Please paradox overload. Please overload from dream explosion. Exclusion dream overcall frame.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and many years ago, I had a dream. I found myself in a place where I understood that each of us begins as nothing, where everything I perceived was shaped by seeing it exactly the way I wanted to. White space. But in white space, I also faced the greatest challenge I could imagine. Because with a lifetime of life itself behind me, and all of the weight that it carried, I realized that seeing things the way I wanted to was not as easy as it used to be.
I just realized that I've been mute the whole entire time. Jesus, was there no commentary that got to this? This is... oh. This is beautiful. Stairs up. But there is no stairs. How does this work? Whoa. Wait. Oh shoot, I'm lost. I was gonna look back. Unless you can actually climb out this, which you technically can. Whoa. This is beautiful, dude. Oh god. Whoa. Does it matter? It doesn't. But it does at the same time. That's one of these colors. It's not like the other. This is so out of my perception of reality is truly a thing worth noting. How do you solve something like this? I've been blinded by it too has delved deeper. A door. Another one, Glenn Pierce.
You're well beyond dreaming now, and further out than anyone has ever come back from. But we hope that you won't get discouraged. After all, if this is a place of pure perspective, isn't it also a place where a different point of view could make anything possible? Isn't that why you came here?
Whoa. So long as it's on there, it stays. Which means you also need a second piece to play. get through there. I don't like this anymore. It's so... How can you imagine something like this? Oh god. This is on it. Jeez. Shoot, jeez. God, I should probably say that this is probably an epilepsy warning, or a flashing lights warning. I'm just gonna look down because I really don't want people to, like, actually, like, start getting something bad from this. Exit. 7:59. That's the first two numbers that have been 8 a.m. Hello, adding. This time it's not. It's.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and by now you may have realized that all of this has happened exactly the way it was supposed to. You see, everyone who comes to the Institute does so because they feel that they are no longer in control of something important to them. But more often than not, the problem is not that the problems we face can't be solved. The problem is that we become so afraid of failure that we refuse to see our problems from a new perspective. And so, we do the same things again and again and again. And therein, of course, we find exactly the failure we were looking for.
It's the little castle from earlier. Oh God, it's beautiful.
Your life will always be a struggle, and you will always have problems. But today, you had the chance to see things differently. Even though it meant facing obstacles that seemed impossible at first, you thought outside the box, and you overcame them. Because you saw things from every angle, you understood them for what they really were. Because you kept moving forward, no matter how far off the path you were told you were headed, or how unexpected it became, you found your way. In a few minutes, you'll be back in the real world, and some part of you will say that none of this was real. So how could it have really meant anything? But just like the power of perspective itself, it will have been as real as you believed it to be. All you've got to do is wake up.
I cannot express how wonderful that was. That was... Sorry for the background, if you can hear that. I cannot believe that. Dude, okay, I've seen this game. It's like a bit old. Well, not old, but like... It was popular a bit ago. But god damn, dude, it's just so... I can't say that word, by the way. Or, well, I shouldn't say that, because it's just no. But that was... This is such a good game. The playthrough, the little subsequent little dialogue and all that. The music, oh god, the music. God, I keep saying it, but dude, the music was beautiful. Or the soundtrack. Just, I like those, you know, the little Dreamcore vibes that come from this. It's just perfect. If anyone ever plays this, dude, you're gonna have such a good time playing it. Because it's just, I believe there's different ways to do the game. Because you could go different ways. I can't confirm that, but I believe so. Like there's some way, like in some of the parts, I chose to go through the back area, which was like the not so colorful imagery type of thing. But I can't prove that per se that could happen. Oh god. Thanks for dreaming. I love that game. At the end, do we wake up? I don't know if we ever find out if we wake up. Wake up. Beat the game. Extra modes. Developer commentary. What does this mean?
Hello, and welcome to the Superliminal Developer Commentary. I'm Albert, Game Director of Superliminal. Myself and the rest of the team will be popping up every now and then as you play. With subtitles open, you can see who is talking and what their role on the game is.
Pending Somnosculpt technology provides safe and effective dream therapy while you rest in the comfort of our flagship clinic. Located right next to the secondary overflow parking lot at the University Medical Centre. Somnosculpt will make your dreams come true.
I'll just play this one part of it because this is probably the easy part.
Hi, my name's Chris. I was the producer and designer on Superliminal.
Hi, this is Will O'Neill, and I was the writer on Superliminal.
Okay, so that very beginning of Superliminal is actually one of the last parts we finished. Throughout development, we created so many different introductions to the game. Not all of them were cutscenes, like that one, but we ended up feeling that that in-game video sequence offered a really smooth on-ramp that let us set the framework for what's to come. By keeping it grounded in the world, rather than just a video, we felt it to be a good way to get you situated in the game and aware of what's up.
So,
A lot of people ask about how the resizing mechanic works. The concepts are actually quite easy. To keep an object looking the same, assume if we move the object twice as far away, it just needs to be twice as big. It's all proportional. Interestingly enough, this also works no matter what field of view you use. The hard part of this mechanic isn't the actual resizing. It's trying to figure out where the object needs to be. To do this, you need to test a weirdly shaped object with a weirdly shaped background, and trying to find the right ratio for the object to be big enough to not touch anything, while keeping everything accurate and optimized.
Hey, this is Matt. I did the music and sound. This very first jazz piece in the game is called I Wonder, and if it sounds at all familiar to you, that's because you just heard its melody and chord progression in the Somnosculpt TV jingle back at the start of the game, which I called Smooth Wonder.
Hi, I'm Logan, and I'm level designer on Superliminal. A difference with the main resizing mechanic in this game is how much freedom it gives the player. This puzzle is a good example. In most puzzle games, if you put an object on a button in this scenario, the object doesn't need to be moved anymore. The key to unlock the door removes the key from the problem space. But unfortunately, in our game, you can just turn around and grab the object from any distance away. Therefore, we've gotten good at adding barriers in many places so people won't carry an object through all puzzles forever.
Confirmed. You can move freely, interact with surrounding objects, and listen to messages from your patient care team. Please note that I am the standard orientation protocol and that my voice has been explicitly chosen to remind you that I am not a part of your patient care team. I do not care.
Hi, my name is Alex, and I performed gameplay programming on Superliminal. When I joined the project, there weren't really any menus except the absolute bare minimum to get the player into the game, and there wasn't any keyboard support either. So the first order of business was to add proper mouse and keyboard support to the title and pause menus. The hardest part was supporting switching between the two on the fly, because you never know when the player is going to do it, and it could lock them out of the game. With that foundation laid, I started working on controller support. In terms of the menus, there wasn't much work to do. The pad basically acts like a keyboard. But gameplay was quite a different story. As we approached launch, we all agreed that controller support wasn't quite up to par, and so we shipped without it, adding it around a month after launch. To make controllers feel as good as mouse and keyboard, I wrote a bunch of code to modify how controller input is interpreted. For mouse and keyboard, input is more or less one-to-one mapped to player movement. So you move the mouse and the camera turns. But that doesn't feel good with controllers. Trying to pick up a very small object, say a chess piece, can be quite finicky. In the end, I made it so looking around accelerates the longer the stick is pressed, and behaves differently based on whether you are looking vertically or horizontally, and also while you are holding an object. Probably the biggest change was a quote-unquote auto-lock feature, which draws the focus to a grabbable object as your cursor gets closer to it. All these changes culminated in controllers feeling much more accurate and satisfying.
Throughout each level, we try to give subtle hints on which objects are grabbable and which aren't. This is more of an introductory level, so it doesn't have a lot of objects, but you might notice that grabbable objects, in yellow, are complementary colors to the background colors of green and beige.
Please complete the remaining orientation activities.
There's quite a bit of foreshadowing throughout this level. We wanted to hint at the mechanics that are going to come later in the game. For example, the projection, the clone, and the portal hallways later on. Little things like that feel like visual treats when you're playing this level, but serve as fun reminders when you play for a second time that we kind of told you the whole thing all along.
Hi there, I'm Steve, the art director of Superliminal. One of our main visual touchstones for this section centers around a couple of silly questions. What would someone in the early 90s dream up as a futuristic testing facility? And how could they build that on a shoestring budget or with infinite time? I feel like those two questions were ones we actually asked ourselves more than once during the process of making this game.
Corporate priority tetrahedron. A variable degree of force can and will be authorized to ensure patient safety. Please return to the orientation pathway.
When we were playtesting, we realized that players were getting tripped up on different aspects of the resize mechanic. So we tried to make each puzzle in this level teach a specific action. The cheese puzzle is our way of forcing players to make something from very small to very big, and the puzzle after that is the opposite. This broken window puzzle is to teach you how to make things small and fit through a hole, but at a distance, so you can't simply walk up to it.
How did I feel at that?
All environments perceived during eyelids should reflect a typical mental state. If you believe your mental state was compromised by Somnasculpt, please provide a comprehensive, rational explanation in your post-procedural survey. Completed surveys may be eligible for a gift card.
Really? I want a gift card. Oh god. What's wrong with me? Oh.
We had this looping hallway for a while, but it was very nondescript and players got confused on where they were and they would get turned around. So our artist Steve helped mock up some windows and landmarks so people can tell where they are. Immediately, we found that playtesters weren't getting lost anymore and understood the moment. Our core game mechanic is so novel that we immediately drew comparisons to other quasi-sci-fi puzzle games. And since our game is about playing with and subverting expectations, we wanted to lean into that and start the first level with a kind of test chamber aesthetic and immediately break that going forward. Narratively, this space is what Dr. Pierce planned to have his dream therapy program look like before it all went wrong.
Oh my god, dude, I completely forgot. Okay.
Please stand by for polite recognition on your completion of the Somnasculpt orientation. You did it. To maximize the time allotted for your therapeutic journey, please do not delay in proceeding through the final doorway as indicated.
Chaz, come over here. There we go. Any other thing? Anything to... I don't think so. Whoa. What the... 1,000... Okay,
The reason we ended up with this sleep clinic section is because we wanted to convince players that they might have actually woken up from the dream. So we don't have any dreamlike mechanics you can play with until you get to the vending machine. Later on, this becomes a hub you come back to in order to emphasize the feeling of waking up from a dream within a dream.
We want the first moment of people walking into this hallway to feel different from other first-person puzzle games. This hallway is designed to feel surprisingly warm, which helps make it feel a little bit surreal and a little bit odd. Throughout the game, we're bouncing between these two feelings, the feelings of warmth and coldness.
So my brief for the jazz part of this soundtrack was always to do my best to emulate the iconic solo jazz piano sound of the great Bill Evans. For that, I listened to an album called Alone. My process was to try to compose my own superliminal jazz standards. I fleshed out the first chorus and melody. Later on, I workshopped and recorded with my good friend John Reeves. And I'm so glad I did, because his piano skills are so much better than mine.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and I'd like to talk to you about being special. So special, in fact, that we have no idea where you are. But not to worry, we're working on it.
Hi, my name is Ryan, and I was the principal artist on Superliminal. Optical's Pink Hotel Hallway was the first area we nailed down visually and served as a starting point for how we approached the art for the rest of the game. We wanted enough decoration for it to be interesting to the player, yet it couldn't have too much visual noise, or else the player would get lost and overwhelmed. We made interactable objects the complementary color of the surrounding environment, which helped them pop more and feel more important. After we were happy with how this part of the game felt, the rest of the locales came together much quicker, and we required less iteration.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and I'm just popping in to give you a quick update on where you are. We still don't know, but please keep moving forward, and hopefully you prefer frequent updates to being reminded that you are completely lost.
Hi, my name is Phil Fortier, and I was the graphics programmer on Superliminal, and I also worked on some of the Easter egg design. So in this warehouse, you'll notice that there are actually 4 exits to the room, and the level geometry on the other side of the exits would actually overlap if it existed in real space. So to make the level design a little easier, we used our portal tech here. So the exits to the room when you leave the room are actually in vastly different physical locations within the level, but hopefully it should be all seamless for the player.
Before you grab the moon in the next room, please notice that it looks quite far away. An interesting fact is that it actually isn't that far at all. But because the moon's position is moving with your position, it seems to be infinitely far away.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce. In the event that this elevator does not wake you up, please don't interact with anything that strikes you as psychologically significant, as we will no longer have any way of controlling it. For example, if you see your parents, please punch them in the face as hard as you can and immediately run away.
This puzzle has the problem of requiring the room to not have a ceiling, which resulted with players wanting to escape the room. In a later update, we added a secret area above this room and a bunch of other secret areas based on where we saw players going.
I'm sorry, what? Wait, there's a secret area. That would be the reason. Oh god. I think we're stuck in here now. Threes. Jeez. Just go.
The blueprints are one of the secrets that we added to the game, and if you find them all, you'll unlock a special secret. The diagrams are actually top-down, wireframe views of parts of the levels, and they're blue.
Wow. I saw another one of the blueprints. Seize the day. No, it's actually loading well. I don't know why it made it normal, like...
This is an automated message for all patients who attempted to use an alternate pathway to access the next phase of somnasculpt therapy but who have become trapped in a dream state paradox instead. Your decisions imply a failure of orientation.
So one day, for whatever reason, I was looking up reference material for astral planes on the internet, and one of the results was the astral plane that appears in the TV show The OA. And at the same time, we were trying to figure out different optical illusions we could use for the Easter eggs that were different from the main gameplay. And the astral plane in the OA has stars and a reflective floor, and so that was kind of the inspiration for the star rooms here. And the goal for these was that they would be hidden in plain sight, so you could play through the game and not even notice them if you're not being careful and observant. But if you look around, then you might find one. The way we made the star rooms try to fit into the game narrative is that Dr. Pierce, while designing these dream levels, it's a lot of work, so occasionally he would need to take a break, just lie down, close his eyes, meditate a bit, and so he hid these star rooms in the levels that potentially only he could find. And it kind of reminded me, I've been to MoMA in New York once, and they had a relaxation room that was kind of dark, and people could lie on the ground and look up at, projected things on the walls. And that was kind of like the visual thing I was going for.
So the standard orientation protocol character is obsessed with proper orientation, and that makes her kind of thematically antagonistic to the idea of truth being, intrinsically tied to perspective. But to me, the fun part of it was writing her as being cruel without there being any actual malice to it. Like, she has nothing against you personally. Her programming simply can't see beyond proper orientation as being the only thing of any value to a somnasculpt patient whatsoever.
An early challenge we had for creating the art for Cubism was how to approach the space and make sense of it. We started taking it a bit too literally. For example, how can we make sense of the door being so high up? Why would it be built this way? The solution we arrived at was simply not to make sense of it, because it shouldn't. We created a simple museum aesthetic that wouldn't get in the player's way of experimenting with and enjoying the puzzles. Sometimes keeping it simple is the way to go.
Professional tip: the average adult can only withstand 3 to 5 dreams per night. Once this threshold is eclipsed by entering more dreams, your mind will suffer an explosive mental overload, reorienting you for the emergency exit protocol. Please subject yourself.
Between the colorful dream spaces, we have these, what we call back areas. These back areas serve as the backdrop to everything. They are where the dream spaces are built, and also the service hallways in between them. We wanted to give them a colder, darker feel to contrast with other spaces in the game. But we also wanted to keep a man-made feel, as if people were just here moving things, creating these spaces, doing work a second before you arrived.
Yeah, it reminded me a little of Charlie Kaufman's Synecdoche, New York, that idea of building a world inside of another world.
Originally, we had little plaques indicating exhibits within the museum, but we felt it was a little bit too on the nose, so to speak. You are the main exhibit, so I imagine the players wandering around a game with an exhibit plaque hanging around their necks.
They made all these secrets so nicely.
Please note that a reluctance to volunteer for the risks associated with explosive...
Not all of our interesting perspective moments can be built into puzzles. Some are just great moments that break your expectations. This level interprets a cube in multiple different ways, and even though none of these are difficult puzzles, they all work together to create a whole series of back-to-back surprise moments. It was fun finding the balance of making it feel like someone was messing with you, without making it feel like the cube is sentient.
Okay. I'm just gonna say this. Oh god, dude. Thank you for watching this beautiful game. I may come back to it just to see what I can do to master it fully. But until then, thank you. Have a good night, good day, and I'll see you perhaps tomorrow, but maybe in a bit. Maybe in a couple of weeks, I really don't know. Bye.